Alright, it is a Thursday and the second day of August, 9:14 a.m. and this is the main watch list. I'm not really too experienced with this, but maybe I could try some kind of a breakout setup with TKAT. I would ideally like it if maybe it could drop to like the 1220s or something like that. That would be kind of impressive if I could maybe get some kind of an entry just for a breakout over the highs at 13 really, but I was actually interested in it earlier, but it started looking all ugly and pre-market. I'm not too experienced with listed stocks, but I'm obviously trying to get better, learning more stuff. RGBP, I can't trade this one. It's just going to be something to look at. MTRT, I would have liked it if it didn't have a gap up. If it's going to actually have a gap up, I might still consider it for a morning spike. It could just spike for a few minutes and then just fade immediately, or it could just fade, right then and there for a really sketchy morning panic bounce play because it's only been up one day. Maybe I shouldn't even trade it, but I might try, and if I do, it might be just a tiny size just to get some experience trading that. CCAG could be a similar type of thing. MTRT is probably better. Well, maybe it has a higher float in theory. I mean, the price is significantly different. No, I think MTRT has a lower float. I honestly don't know. I'll check and see what the case could be with that, but that's really all I have. Unfortunately, stocks like PBY just doesn't have the volume for a good morning panic bounce setup, and it is downtrending. If it could drop very cleanly, it's still on my other screen on the other watch list, as well as some other OTCs. If any of those that are not here in this main watch list has a very clean drop with some good enough volume, I'll consider that. So that's where I'm at the moment. Alright, it is 9:45 a.m. and I haven't taken any trades. In theory, RGBP, I would have perhaps if I got into this, which I don't think I would have, because the entry would have been, maybe in the 473, risking the wick right here, which is 470. The issue is that VWAP is just 1 penny ahead, but we did break the level. In theory, if I was in this trade, which I hope I wouldn't have, if this thing was tradable on Schwab, I would have cut losses here, and it immediately bounced past VWAP to 48, and the low here was like 45. So that was a move there. If I continue to see that it kind of breaks a certain range that it's holding on the stock that does look decent for a morning panic bounce play more often, I will start to consider that. But for now, that's what I have. CCAG doesn't really look that nice. It didn't really have like a clean drop or anything like that. This wick would have been pretty sketchy. TKAT, I think for this one to do a breakout, it needs to have more volume for something like that. Maybe it will catch up later, but if it's not trading with more volume, I won't really consider it. And I actually did try to buy MTRT. It turns out I can't with Schwab only closing positions. Maybe its OTC filing isn't updated, or maybe it is updated and the list that Charles Schwab has is an old list when it didn't have its filings up to date. So I was actually not able to trade this. I was interested in it right here at 335, give or take, right here 335, and this green candle at 934, risking this level. And in theory, I probably would have been able to sell for a small profit because it did get past VWAP. But if I wanted to follow that red candle rule, I probably would have sold after this one, closed as a red candle under VWAP, and then I probably might have been able to sell for a profit, break even. If I didn't get a good fill, which might be possible because this one has a tiny float, it might have been a loss too. And it did break briefly this 325-ish level. It did get to 310. It still didn't become the day low, but again, this is similar to the RGBP where it kind of cracks a support level, and then it has a spike. And here, in theory, if I were to have not have done the red candle rule, which isn't the case anymore, like an older version of me, I probably would have cut losses in this candle right here. There was plenty of time, I believe, to sell there. Maybe there wasn't, but That's the mindset I have with this. I can't trade this thing, I forgot, but if I see this as a common issue, unfortunately I'm just going to find another broker to trade with. I mean, if it doesn't have its filings up to date, that's pretty sad because it's missing out on a lot more people buying this type of stock, and similar ones like it. They just need to get their filings up to date. It doesn't seem, I mean, I don't know anything about that stuff, but it doesn't seem that hard. But in theory, I might consider this for a dip towards VWAP. Not really, because it does look kind of sketchy on a daily chart, but that's really all I have at the moment. That was a pretty nice drop right there, so I'll make an update later. That's all I have for right now. Alright, it is 10:09. I took one small loss. I cut losses quickly with TKAT. I had no interest in buying CUBV. As you can tell, CUBV is at 1.8 pennies, and I put a sub penny order just to see if I could trade CUBV with Charles Schwab, and I can. TKAT was a buy. It just did not work out. It eventually picked up. We did get the volume later, which is nice. It broke out of the range, right? The very top is this 1425 level. Not really the best entry, but I don't mind it that much because I was a bit distracted, and eventually all the bad karma or whatever can just go away. Because yeah, so look, I was in at 10:02, and that was base right about here, this wiki candle, and I was interested in it because it had this nice spike, and this looks like a bull flag, and it did work, but it didn't work that well. You know, give or take 1420. It was kind of sketchy considering, you know, a buy here, because all it needs is a big red candle to wipe it out, right? And we did have this green candle. I got in at this candle before it started looking disgusting, but you know, once it started to look bad, I went ahead and cut losses at 1425 right here, because I was basically risking, once the candle closed, the low of the candle. So I got out at I guess 10:04. I guess I waited a little bit. Yeah, I didn't have like my order entry and everything in place, but you know, because from that other trade with the other listed stock, I think it was, I don't know, ABVC, something like that, it dropped, right? And then it had this red candle, and a lot of it came back. So when it had that red candle here, you know, I held through it because it still held VWAP, and then, you know, it did do a bounce back to 1430, and that's when I got out at 1425. It did break under VWAP, but at this point I'm not really interested in it anymore. It would have to do like an inverse head and shoulders, which it could do. Here could be a potential shoulder. This could be the head. Ideally it spikes to the 1460 level, and then it does a shoulder, and it also holds VWAP. That might be an interesting setup if it can do that, but I took a tiny loss. It was a tiny size anyway. It was, you know, $148 position or something like that. It was very small, and at least I did that accordingly. And of course, NASDAQ setups, they are kind of harder to trade because you don't have this with the OTC is just a big random red candle that is a large percent move, unless it's like a morning panic and it's still panicking like Mr. MTRT was, right? This thing was kind of brutal. I almost wouldn't have minded if I, you know, didn't even want to trade it because of how scary it was. I did trade with a lot of range there, so that's really all I have. I don't think I would have really traded this with RGBP because it failed right here. But here's an example, another one I guess, where it kind of has a crappy hold and it fails, and then it kind of tries again, and it actually is a lot nicer. 49 was the high and 46 was the bottom. It could be better. So yeah, that's all I got. I will be watching CUBV maybe for a dip towards VWAP, although it doesn't really look that nice if you look at a daily chart. So there are really no setups that I truly like. I'm happy to see TKAT did its thing. Maybe if I had an alert, I might have considered a buy when it was breaking out, but That's really all I got for right now. I don't mind the trade at all. I hate Nasdaqs because they do have those big red candles, and they kind of, just really change the momentum. I didn't bag hold this, but I saw that 1427. It's now in the 13s, but hey, 3 more weeks and I can try short selling these stocks, and I think that will help too. Maybe they'll start bouncing. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep trying. Just a tiny $5 loss. It's not the end of the world, but I do try to hold myself to a very high standard, but I have to take into consideration, again, you can only cut losses so well when it does do big candles like that. So that's what I have for right now. Alright, it is 11:21. I haven't been looking at the markets too much, and I think just to protect my freaking ego and I don't know, I guess self-esteem, I'm probably just not going to trade listed stocks. Even though I have like tiny losses, I just don't like the percent losses that I get. It seems very very bad. I don't like them at all, and I seem to not be really into the right mindset, because I feel like I should be trading them better. So I think I'll just stay away from that. CCAG looks really disappointing. I'm gonna have to remove it. CUBV, this one, I did want it to be a dip towards VWAP when it was earlier, like back here. If it would have done it from here, then it drops to VWAP, that would have been super nice. But this was a nice and gradual downtrend, so I'm not going to really trade something like this. It did do some kind of a balanced volume, isn't there? I'm not really that interested in it. GMPR, this one is not really holding VWAP too nicely. It doesn't seem that nice. And LUSI, this is one I could have traded for like a head and shoulders buy. So when it dropped here and maybe it does the spike and make a right shoulder, and then it kind of did it again, and then it did it again, and it held VWAP all of these times. Maybe I could have pushed myself to trade something with that, but there was like a sketchy drop right here which kind of threw me off and made me realize this thing wasn't really trading with much volume. Maybe if it continues to hold VWAP throughout the day, maybe it can be like another what was it, MTRT, and then perhaps that could be a setup. Yeah, MTRT doesn't look that nice anymore, and it could do right here a higher day breakout, something really like nice and confirmed. That's really all I have in mind. I'll probably just stay away from listed stocks again. Even if the next trade in theory I would have taken will work, I just seem to be getting like the highs when it comes to these setups. I guess that's why most people like shorting these things. That's really all I have for right now. I will make an update later in the afternoon. Oh, and also one thing to note, I did sell in my other video from the other day. I mentioned that I was long a $1,000 position with Dogecoin, and that was the ascending triangle here. The original setup was actually an inverse head and shoulders. I believe this was the shoulder, yeah, shoulder, head, and then I got in here, I believe the 29th at 2844, thinking this was going to be the shoulder. It downtrended a little more. It still held above the head, and then it was making this ascending triangle, so I stayed in the trade for that reason, and I eventually sold at 30 flat. I did have a sell order, a limit sell order, just sitting there at 308. In theory, I could have been executed, and that would have been kind of nice, but I canceled the order. I think in the future I might consider maybe just I don't know, this might be kind of weird, but maybe 2 sell orders, a limit sell order as a stop loss, and then another one can be like if it has a crazy spike in the middle of the night like it does sometimes, I could be able to sell into that. This one did it right here. I don't know what time that was. That was a bit later in the afternoon. I missed that one, and then I did it again here. So in theory that might help if I put like a limit sell order and I keep it there, but maybe not the entire thing, just half. So then the other one can be a stop loss. Nothing too exact, but it does have this downtrending price action here, but it could keep putting up higher lows. Here's a drop, right? Here's a lower low from here, and then a higher low, and then it could do another higher low, and this thing can continue the uptrend. I did make a profit, I think like $47 after commissions. So and I could have sold this thing way higher too. I sold at like 30 flat basically, and this thing got to 30, yeah, 30.09, maybe it touched 31, but I could have sold at 308 as well. So that's really all I have. I just wanted to update and disclose that I sold that Dogecoin positions. Well, technically today when it was like 12 a.m. So that's all I have for right now. Just wanted to disclose that. Alright, it is 2:32. I haven't been looking at the markets too much. I did, however, see it when it was here at 73. I'll be honest, I was just hesitating because it trades with a wide range. You know, to take a buy at, let's say the ask was 74.01, and then you cut losses when it breaks 70, what is it, 71.12, and then, you know, I get a sell at 69.76. I just didn't want to risk, you know, that much. It just trades with a wide range. This thing could do a breakout. I don't mind it too much if I miss it. This one is not touching VWAP. Here it got close, or you might say it technically did. I think it didn't. I don't know, maybe if it, I'll probably miss it if it does it here, but I would like it in theory if it drops maybe to the 75 level and then holds support and then continues the uptrend. I might take a trade into that. This is just a bit scary. There is a lot of resistance when I got to the 80 level. CUBV, nothing I want to trade. The bottom here is sub penny level 99. I might do something like this. I might trade this. It kind of looks clean. TKAT, I'm just not going to trade listed stocks anymore. You know, I just have to really reanalyze that. Maybe it was just bad luck that both times the setups didn't work, but I don't like it. You know, if this thing looked nicer on the daily, you know, I would maybe consider a buy here and hope that it can make like an inverse head and shoulders that goes and makes an uptrend towards 12. It could still do it, it's just not as nice looking. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 2:42 p.m. and yeah, I just realized the market cap, this thing has a 500,000 market cap. This is why it's so sketchy me wanting to trade this thing, because it probably has a super tiny float, just mega small. It's probably traded its float a bunch of times already. I don't know what the exact float is, but I tried to place an order, not because I wanted to buy, I was just too scared, but it turns out they don't have their SEC stuff. It's not updated or whatever, so I'm actually not able to trade this thing with Schwab, even if I wanted to, back when it was at 73 and I was, you know, like being all scared, risking, you know, risking 4 pennies basically with some slippage in mind, because it is a low float stock. This thing could make a nice uptrend, but I cannot be a part of it for that reason. I hope Charles Schwab checks and maybe updates their OTC list like once a week. This is probably going to be once in a while, like not once in a while, but it's probably going to be something that will just happen once and not happen again, because I think from now on all OTC stocks are going to be, you know, very interested in getting their SEC filings up to date, because if they can't, they're literally missing out on a bunch of people wanting to buy their stock while they're promoting it. So this is going to be probably ideally a once in a lifetime kind of thing where I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I literally cannot trade this thing even if I wanted to. I could trade with E-Trade. I have like $190 there. But the problem is that I would have to pay commission, I think $6.95 in and out. So I'd have to put all my money there, and then it would have to be a massive runner for me to, like, not just sell for a profit, but also cover the commissions. So I just can't trade this thing. I'll make an update and see what it does later. Hopefully, maybe next week. I don't know how often they do this again. They have a new updated list of OTCs that have current filings, so I can be able to trade some of those that previously did not have, recently updated filings. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. That's all I got. I'll make an update to see what this thing does later in the day. Alright, it is 7:38 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. It looks like it did do the breakouts. I did look at it a little previously, and it would have been hard. I mean, really, the ideal level was back here, just because it put up a support level at 71-ish, and I didn't get in the trade because I was just too freaking scared, because it's such a low market cap that this thing can easily just break this level, even though it's a strong support level. I was just too scared because the range is too much, and then with slippage and everything, I was just way too scared. So that's why I didn't take the trade there, and it did work in that sense. It did uptrend nicely, the freaking 87 from this, ideally maybe the 74-ish, 75 level. It put up what it looks like here, a head and shoulders, and it did break at the end of the day, and it did finish just slightly above VWAP. Even if I wanted to trade this thing, I was not able to because of the thing with Charles Schwab. That's going to be the case for a lot of these next month. I really hope that this isn't an issue, that I can't trade a lot of these OTC setups because of my broker. Unfortunately, if that is the case, I will have to move money into another accounts. That would be really unfortunate, but I hope that's just something that's just going to get itself over with over a few weeks, perhaps, once the rule really gets into effect and everybody else has to comply with the new rules. Otherwise, all the other brokers that are going to start enforcing this rule a bit later, like E-Trade, are going to, it's going to be less people buying. CUBB I did see this panic here. It was just a bit too quick, and it trades with a wide spread. I really look forward to the days when the OTC markets are looking nice again, and there is a lot of really strong volume to trade in and out of, but we don't have that right now, and that's fine. GMPR just kept fading, and it has a sketchy wick, so I will remove this. Unfortunately, it just wasn't that nice, and I think I'm going to just ban myself from trading high-a-day breakout potential setups with listed stocks. I feel like I get wrecked a little too many times in these, and maybe it's just something I don't know or have to continue learning. But that was my trade there at 10:02. It looks kind of hard to tell now, but it was back here in this wiki price action when it was looking like it was potentially, at least in my theory, breakout. But I obviously don't know what I'm doing in terms of that setup, so I don't mind. Again, the loss is just $5 tiny, but I don't like the percent loss, because in theory, I should be trading a larger size as I keep getting better. But I don't know, it is definitely harder, I think, to cut losses quickly on listed stocks. Sure, there can be that unfortunate thing when you're in an OTC and it has like a more like a panic, and then you're not able to get out. But I find OTCs to trade a lot more gracefully compared to TKAT and other listed stocks like this. So I think I will just stick with the rule of me only considering listed stocks if it does an inverse head and shoulders. That's something that I have been able to trade profitably. It's not my favorite setup. I don't like listed stocks as much as I like OTC stocks, but yeah, just one trade there, and that's really all I got. There isn't really anything that I know. Maybe there is one that is a multi-day runner that could look very nice. I think PBYA didn't even look that good. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not looking nice. Maybe it can try to put itself a few more updates. That could be the case. So that's really all I have. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to call it off right here. No more listed stocks, at least high-a-day breakouts, inverse head and shoulders. That might be nice. I've seen dip towards VWAP setups work. Just no high-a-day breakouts, because it seems like I get kind of wrecked in those type of patterns. Maybe it's not the right markets. So, yep, that's all I got. Signing off right here.